As the illegal migrant crisis grows, we see some crazy stuff going on. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis actually bans homeless people for the whole state. I'll show you it directly here from the governor here. It's wild and an interesting solution here. Also, President Biden signs into law a $1.2 trillion bill here today. All that and more here in this video. Let's jump right in. Thank you so much for liking these videos. It helps YouTube spread these videos to more people so more people get this information. Let's jump right in. First, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis banning homeless people on the streets of Florida. That's right. Take a listen here.
Measures restricting where homeless individuals can set up camp in Florida have officially been signed into law. Just a moment ago, Governor Ron DeSantis wrapped up a press conference in Miami Beach after signing that new bill. And that's where NBC6 anchor Chris Hush is joining us live from this noon, breaking down the details here. Chris, it will be up to local governments, right, to enforce these restrictions?
Correct, Roxy. And according to the new bill, the state promises to provide resources to cities to do just that. The governor says he wants Florida cities to crack down on homeless encampments that are being set up in public areas. Some of these measures already being enacted here in Miami Beach.
We have to govern this state and our communities with an eye towards what's in the best interest of the law-abiding citizen, what's in the best interest of families who are trying to raise kids, what's in the best interest of our seniors who are here to retire. That's what it's got to be. And too often, it's like people in other states and other cities around that are not doing well, it's like they let the inmates run the asylum. That doesn't work.
So as you heard there, that was Governor Ron DeSantis as he was signing that new bill. And here's what's included. It prohibits cities from allowing homeless encampments on city streets, sidewalks, and parks. It also pushes cities to create designated homeless camps in other areas with security, sanitation, and access to mental health services. Funding for homeless shelters is expected to be increased while requiring those who use the shelters to also utilize workforce services. And while there was no mention of direct funding being set up for cities to carry these measures out, lawmakers say they could use existing mental health funding in the state's proposed budget. Last October, Miami Beach passed a similar ordinance banning camping on public grounds. Mayor Minor says the city has noticed more unhoused individuals using shelters and getting the help they need.
So implementing this type of legislation regarding the homeless is so necessary for our residents, for our businesses, to make sure that our streets are clean and that they're safe. Public spaces are for the public. We always have to remember, it seems obvious, but sometimes that gets lost. Having criminal activity or drug use openly on the street is not acceptable here in Miami Beach, and evidently not in the state of Florida as well.
Now, there has been some pushback on these measures, some opponents saying that this unfairly targets homeless individuals. But at this press conference today, Governor DeSantis pointed out other states like California, which has seen an alarming rise in homeless individuals. And he says these measures are necessary here in our state to prevent those issues coming here to Florida.
Yeah, so Governor Ron DeSantis signs a bill to ban those who are homeless from sleeping on public property, which is anywhere that's not private property in the state of Florida. You can see here. And I think that this is actually a pretty good solution. And maybe we'll see other states follow this. Of course, they'll need funding to set up homeless shelters in virtually every city, or every city that has homeless. I mean, you know, there's maybe some cities don't really have a homeless problem, right? Smaller cities and stuff like that. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But the cities that have a homeless problem, you got to help them. You got to do something, right? Just, you know, set up something to give them a place to stay at night. And the other option is you just let them stay there on the street and do nothing to help, right? I mean, clearly we've all seen homeless people on the streets, and the first thing that comes to mind is they have nowhere to go. The city doesn't help them at all. Clearly, they don't choose to do this. Clearly, they're destitute. The other thing that kind of always comes to mind, at least for me, is why don't they just go get a job at McDonald's, Walmart, the grocery store, the local places? There's always somewhere hiring, right? At least that's what comes to mind for me. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I mean, go out there, try to get a job. You could earn hundreds of dollars a week, right? If you're out on the street at the corner, standing all day and, asking for money, begging for money, you could probably go and work a job. Now, if you're in a wheelchair and you don't have legs and stuff like that, it's a different story, and you're disabled, and, well, everybody has a different story. And that's where you kind of got to realize here that the government has to step in sometimes and help a lot of these people out, and that's where homeless shelters come in. You look at California, and they just have thousands and thousands and thousands, and it's not only California, obviously, and they just have all these people on the streets fending for themselves. The least you can do, and don't get me wrong, they do this, but they don't do it enough to give these people just the bare necessities where it's just homeless shelters, literally. Just give them enough where they don't have to physically stay in the street. And then you look at places like, in the north, New York, that's overrun as well, and they have brutal winters. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And then, of course, this has been exacerbated by the migrants coming in, a lot of them illegal migrants coming into the country without the proper paperwork. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he may send Haitian migrants landing into Florida to Massachusetts. He says he may send more migrants to Massachusetts, and in a recent interview that Haitian migrants arriving into the state could be headed to Martha's Vineyard once again. We do have a transport program, and if Haitians land in the Florida Keys, their next stop may very well be Martha's Vineyard once again. Now get this, this is as Haiti is in turmoil, as an estimated 15,000 people have been driven from their homes while powerful gangs attack prisons and airports in the capital city of Port-au-Prince. More than 1,190 people in Haiti have been killed since the start of the year, according to the United Nations. This also comes here as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed an executive order earlier this year and activated the National Guard to provide support as what he says, this is his words of the executive order, the Biden administration is ignoring and alarming the influx of migrants from the Florida Keys and some of these exact people. Speaking of, President Biden signed into law today $1.2 trillion spending package after Congress finally actually got, I think, the first actual meaningful bill. They actually got something done, which will fund the government only until October. That's right. So the actual meaningful bill that got anything done will only fund the government until October. So Republicans, Democrats in the House and Senate finally got the first bill that actually passed that's meaningful, and it only funds the government until October. For $1.2 trillion, President Biden signed it into law, in which time they will need to do this all over again. Yeah. And if you're looking forward to like that increased child tax credits or all the other things going on in the Senate, well, you kind of wonder why they don't get anything done. This is just one of the things why, backlogs and backlogs. They're constantly doing things like this and fighting over revisions and, things of government funding and all the other things, right? Well, congressmen and congresswomen, right? And yet, every election, it's like 95% of congressmen, congresswomen get reelected. Yeah, it's the same old every time. So at least I'm here telling you guys the truth, because this is the reality of what happens in Congress. Yeah. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep you up to date. If you haven't yet, subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. I've been sick. That's why I didn't do videos the last 2 out of 3 days. So hopefully I'll be able to, I'm still catching up here. New videos come out here normally every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.